Let's start with Stephanopoulos, he is humiliated and very angry, according to the reports, that this has happened to him. The New York Times goes inside the suit and talks about how executives had expected or had anticipated that there would be blowback to settling this, but they're in full revolt over there at ABC News, where they feel that the reputation has been unnecessarily sullied, that they didn't feel they should have settled with President Trump, and yet the Times pointing out that Disney had many reasons. Number one, there was a Judge Altanaga, chief judge in the Southern District of Florida, who had denied Disney's motion to dismiss with some very strong language, saying a reasonable jury could interpret Stephanopoulos' statements as defamatory, and then added in italics, Stephanopoulos stated 10 times that a jury or juries had found plaintiff liable for rape, which was obviously not true. And then they pointed out something we speculated about the other day, which was she had also rejected requests to delay the case, and Disney was told to turn over all remaining documents related to the case. Trump's lawyer told us they'd only given like one document. And so they had to produce not only all the emails with Stephanopoulos on them among his producers and so on, but he was going to have to sit for a deposition, which we knew. They were also worried that this could set an industry standard. In other words, this could go all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and New York Times versus Sullivan, which sets a very, very, very high bar for problematic speech, for finding speech problematic, could potentially be overturned. Anyway, what do you make of George Stephanopoulos' indignity at what has happened to him, Adam?
Well, okay, they worry about their reputation. So ABC's news division is worried about their reputation if they offer an apology. They blew up their own reputation over the last 5 years systematically, first with Russian collusion and 3 or 4 years of lying, or at least being wrong about that. And then that dovetailed right into COVID. So the two biggest stories of basically the last 8 or 9 years, they screwed up 10 ways to Sunday. So I would tend not to listen to ABC News, not because the dwarf news anchor offered an apology, but more that they lied about all the big stories, anything to do with Trump and anything to do with COVID. I mean, let's look at it this way. The two biggest stories of the last decade have been Trump and COVID and Trump. They got every single story wrong and or lied about every single story. So I will not be listening to ABC News, not because they're cowards and not standing up to this lawsuit, just because they're wildly inaccurate, and probably beyond inaccurate, they're liars.
They say in the New York Post, in an exclusive, George is defiant. One source tells, well, what does that mean? You defiant in what way? Like, you had to issue the words of regret. Your company had to pay $15 million. You're no longer in first place. I believe it's related to that debacle of a debate. There's been a revulsion after, that night there was one, and now there's been a mass exodus in their audience. And they want us to say, well, he's defiant. How? I mean, the latest news was he deactivated his X account. It doesn't sound defiant, Adam. It sounds like a coward.
This is their hijacking of the language. Remember, Kamala Harris wanted to end fracking, and then she wanted to continue fracking, and she wanted to end the border wall. Then she wanted to continue the border wall, but she was still staying true to her values. Okay, that means nothing. And every time there's a school shooting, somebody gets up to the podium and gets behind the microphone, a police chief or the mayor of the city, and says, this is unacceptable. Okay, it's unacceptable, but it just happened and it'll happen again. So there's this weird language thing where they try to make themselves into some sort of patriot heroes, except for they do nothing. And it's really a thing that was born on the left, and I never really got it. Defiant while you put your tail between your legs, and offer an apology and keep hammering checks you get from ABC. All right, well, that's defiant, then so be it. But defiant is quitting your job. and hanging your own shingle somewhere else.
That's exactly right. The Defiant is, I'm out of here. I refuse to participate in your conciliatory statement. I did nothing wrong, and I'm not going to let my gazillion-dollar paycheck force me into bending the knee here because I'm going to die on principle. No, that's Defiant. This is not Defiant. Deleting your ex account because you're tired of the abuse you're getting from people who know you lied, that he was not found liable by a jury for rape. Why is this so hard for him just to admit that?
Well, I mean, these guys hate Trump, obviously, and they cannot be neutral about things. You know, I was thinking about the other day. I mean, I was kind of talking about it on my podcast, which is every umpire in every baseball game has feelings about the two teams that are on the field. They just do. I mean, there has to be 1,000 guys umpiring Yankees games who grew up Yankees fans or Red Sox fans, and now they're behind the plate at Fenway. It just has to be, but they have to put all that aside and call balls and strikes. And the news used to do that, and they don't do it anymore. And it's now become apparent to those of us who are in the stands watching the game what is happening because they're so blatant about it. It's obvious where he stands. It's obviously when you see the A and B interviews between the ones they give Kamala Harris and the ones they give Trump or J.D. Vance or whomever, it's so abundantly evident now that I no longer really listen to them because I don't think they're calling balls and strikes. I don't fault these people for having a preference. You're a human being. You're going to want either Trump or Harris. That's a fact. But then you have to do your job and call balls and strikes. And they don't do it anymore, and they can't.
For those of us who have been holding our breath for the past several months, we can finally exhale in the wake of this presidential election, right? Work can finally be done on the major issues that this country's facing. And one of the most significant is our national debt. Look, the fact is our nation's broke, and that debt is a house of cards that cannot be quickly dismantled by anyone. So the strategy remains the same when it comes to your investments. You might want to diversify your savings. Virtually all the experts say that's a good idea. This is why I want to tell you about Birch Gold. So many things are out of our control and out of our president's control that it really can be important to have a safe haven for your savings. Birch Gold Group can help you if you would like to convert all or part of an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold, which is like a hedging of the bets. And the best news is it does not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. You just text MK to 989898 and you get your free info kit. And plus right now you will receive a free 1-ounce Silver Eagle for every $5,000 purchased Silver Eagle coin. Protect your savings with Birch Gold. Text MK to 989898 and claim your eligibility for free silver today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.